Hello, good evening. Welcome to Hucknall in Nottingham. It's me, John O'Bullard, with this week's British Hockey Chat. Great to have your company as ever. Welcome along to those who are joining in. We'll give it a few seconds to let more and more people come in. As always, if you could tweet this out or share the link so we can get as many people coming in to join the discussion, that would be greatly appreciated. So thank you very much if you could do that. As I say, that would be appreciated. Couple of things to go through before we get into the questions in earnest tonight, but I will give it another few 30 seconds or so for more people to come in and to see the link. Just wet me whistle before we go. All right. So before we begin in earnest, I just wanted to wish all the very, very best to Tyler Perry, the Bristol Pitbulls netminder. He's unfortunately had to cut short his season due to having cancerous tumours in his spine and abdomen. He undergoes surgery to have those removed on Thursday. Then he begins a course of radiotherapy. He played his final game of the season for the Pitbulls on Sunday in a home game against the Solent Devils, where he picked up the Man of the Match award. So all the very best to you, Tyler. I hope everything goes well for you. I know you battled through this before, but once again, all the very, very best to you. And also, a bit of sad news to pass on if you've not already heard. Vernon Neal, who was the former Nottingham Ice Stadium and the arena manager when it first opened, he's latterly been in Planet Ice in Altrincham, and of course the father of former Panther and current Blackburn Hawk, James Neal. He sadly passed away on Sunday, so just wanted to send condolences to the family and everyone who knows him, all his family and friends, and of course to James as well. A very, very sad loss to the hockey community. Okay, let's crack on. Evening to you, Craig. You are up in the northeast as usual. I hope you are, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm coming on to your question first, where Craig was asking for my thoughts on Angela Taylor joining the Great Britain women's setup. She's just been named as head coach of the under-18 women's team. For me, an absolutely fantastic appointment by Ice Hockey UK. I had the privilege of working with Angela at the Olympic qualifiers Nottingham late last year. Fantastic person to work with, fantastic person to talk to, an absolute wealth of hockey knowledge that she will bring to that role, knows the game inside out, and so vastly experienced as well. The first and so far only British woman to play NCAA Division 1 when she was at the University of New Hampshire. She also played for 8 seasons in Switzerland as a professional, has won 5 Swiss championships as well. So for me, an absolutely outstanding appointment. She's coaching already. She's coaching in Harringay in London at Alexandra Palace, the under-16 boys and the under-16 girls. So she does have coaching experience as well. So for me, absolutely brilliant appointment by Ice Hockey UK, and I think she will be excellent at the role. Will be a great role model for those girls as well. Will no doubt help take Great Britain onto the next level for under 18 women. So yeah, really, really happy when I saw that earlier today. I think it's a great appointment. Okay, yeah. Questions. As I haven't mentioned, if you have got any questions, then do please put them in the chat. In the chat box, as some of you have. So, evening Jack, evening ellipsis. And if you want to also contact me on Twitter, you can do at John O'Bullard via DM or just send a tweet and I will pick your questions up from there. I am monitoring that at the moment. So, please do use the tools that are available to you to ask questions and get the discussion going. If you've got any comments as well with regards to any of the questions and discussion that is taking place, please do use the chat box. You are more than welcome to do that. Okay, a couple of similar questions that come from one from Tony DeMacro and one from Eric Holland. Tony is a Panthers fan. Eric is a Steelers fan. But very similar questions. So Tony says, with Jordan Hadley, Brython Priest, Will Curlin, and James Downey all winning multiple games this season, should the Elite League make next season's Challenge Cup a British goalie-only tournament for young goalies who have less than 25 Elite League starts? Should the Cup also see rule changes to allow more young Brits on two-way deals ice time by reducing the import limit for this competition, a competition that has long been seen by many as insignificant? Eric asks, Churchfield, Warburton, and now Priest have all shown potential. Should the next Challenge Cup be for British netminders? So, yes, essentially, I agree with all the sentiments expressed in both questions. The Challenge Cup, as we know, needs a big shake-up because the qualifying for it this season was a bit of a joke. Okay, we're down to the final. The final is tomorrow. Cardiff against Belfast should be a cracker, but the process that we've used to get there has been incredibly drawn out and long-winded. So yes, I think changes do need to be made to the Challenge Cup. I would agree, making it more British player friendly would work for me. But, and this is a big but, if you think about the Elite League, the owners run the Elite League. They are going to be looking at the bottom line. They are going to want to bring in as potentially as many bums on seats as possible, which will bring in as much money as possible. And I think that the pushback that they would have against this would be, and we saw it in a newspaper article earlier this season when Tony Smith said the Brits don't bring in any money. So I would like to see it. I'm sure there's plenty of other fans who would like to see that. I'm not so sure the owners of the Elite League would go for it when they're looking to get as much money through their organisations as they possibly can, which is sad. I think there is ways you could get around that. I mean, if you look at the season tickets, they're all very different for each club. If they could be uniform, where season tickets actually included all league games and all Challenge Cup group games, then I think you could be onto something. But yeah, it's I can't see something like that happening, unfortunately, because I do think that the owners will see that as potentially a reduction in revenue, which is a real shame. Because I think it would be an ideal competition in order to try and blood more Brits, to certainly give British netminders some ice time as well. So yeah, I I agree totally with the sentiments of the question. I because of the reasons I've given. Would anybody else think who's watching? Would you be prepared to watch teams playing more British players in the Challenge Cup? Would you pay to watch that? Would you pay a similar price to what you pay for an Elite League game to watch that? I would, but would everybody? And I think that's what the club owners are going to look at. So yeah, it's a great question, and I think it would be a great thing to happen, but I just cannot see it, unfortunately. Certainly not at this moment, anyway. Jamie asks, what is happening with the World Championships? Are France and Austria being reinstalled into the World Group in place of Russia and Belarus? I don't know. Is the quick answer to that. I know it's been talked about. I've also seen it suggest Belarus will be included, but will forfeit and essentially be relegated. So I don't know what's happening. I was talking to Ben O'Connor earlier today, actually, and he doesn't know what's happening either. So um, we will have to wait and see. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, especially after the statement the awful statement that came out from the KHL yesterday, or was sent to KHL clubs. Um, I think the IIHF 2023 tournament, it hasn't been taken off Russia yet. About time it was. Pretty quickly, like yesterday, that should have happened. I can you see anyone wanting to go to Russia after all this? We can't. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen with regards to this year's World Championships. My preferred option would be for France and Austria to come in, but obviously that is down to the IIHF. That is what I would like to see. I think a lot of others would like to see that, but I'm not so sure that would happen. Let's have a look at some of the other comments. Anthony Russell is the issue with Mr. Smith is that he's wrong, demonstrably and literally wrong. So wrong he can get it in a song. Chris Lovell, honestly, the biggest cheer we've had this year at the SSE when two Belfast-born 16 and 17-year-olds took to the ice for us. Yeah, Max Stewart, one of them. Ellipsis, I would definitely watch it. The games when Mott was out and the whole arena in Cov got behind Headley was some of the most fun, and it would be a real opportunity to see more of the same. Glenn M, I agree. It would be great for Brit goalies to have them play in all Challenge Cup games. So yeah, so I think the consensus is that we would all like to see more British players and certainly British goalies play in the Challenge Cup. If it happens, because like you say, we've said the competition desperately needs a refresh, and I suppose that is one way that it could definitely be refreshed without a doubt. Chris Lovell, sure, the IIHF only moved last year's tournament when Skoda threatened to pull their sponsorship. Of course, it was going to be co-hosted with Belarus and Slovenia, wasn't it? If sponsors stay and the IIHF get their money, they simply don't care. Paul Kelsall says that there's a IIHF meeting this weekend, I think, to finalise the situation. Yeah, I think something needs to come out from that pretty quickly, to be honest. So let's hope that the IIHF can have some announcements this weekend or early next week, hopefully. Jamie Bartholomew again, he says the problem is the Elite League owners, they care more about their pockets than the bigger picture for development. Yeah, I think you probably got a point there. I've just realised that I've not set Audacity going to record for the podcast, so I'm going to have to rip the recording off somehow. If anyone knows how to rip audio from a YouTube, please let me know. Because I think that's what I'm going to have to do to get this out as a podcast. Anyway, worries for me later on. Let's move on. And Peter, which is at It's Science 69 on Twitter, I think he's a five fan, but if not five, certainly Scotland. And he says, once again, poor referees dominate Sunday's games. Can the league really close its eyes to the declining standard year upon year? Is a change needed at the top, as it's really not working? As everyone knows on this, I am loath to criticise referees for the simple reason that, one, it's... Well, crowds are biased. So you're always going to fall on the side of your own team. The referees and the officials know the rule book inside out, so they know what they're doing. However, as I said before, referees are only human, and there does seem to be a lot more criticism of referees. There always has been, but it does seem to have ramped up a bit this season. I think officials in this country or the referees are very much underfunded, and I think that needs addressing. And also, I think that maybe the Elite League, the IHA, whoever, maybe need to do a bit of recruitment as well, or a recruitment drive to try and bring more officials into the game because I think that there is a shortage as well. So, twofold investment into training referees because they're always going to need ongoing training without any shadow of a doubt. But also, I think there needs to be some sort of recruitment drive to get more and more people into officiating, because I don't think there's that many people who are taking it up. Therefore, you are going to have a shortage. So that is going to be a problem as well. But I think the main thing is training. And sorry, I've just seen that comment come up. That's why I've laughed. I'll come to that in a minute. Um, I think a lot of it is to do with training. The referees don't get enough training. It is underfunded. That needs to be put right very, very quickly. And I think that's where we need Ice Hockey UK, the IHA, the Elite League, and all relevant parties all come together and sort it out, frankly. Because referees need to be trained, officials need to be trained, and there also needs to be more of them. Otherwise, I think we down the line we're going to get a big problem with officiating, and I think that's where the leagues can step in, the governing bodies can step in and try and sort it out. But I can see problems coming in the future if it isn't sorted out. So yes, release some funding and invest in your officials, and that way they will get better. That's all I can really say on that. Let's head to the comments. A few about so. Peter B, regarding the feedback on the number of Challenge Cup group games this season, is there any noise of the Elite League making changes for 22-23? Nothing's really been said yet, Peter, but I would hope that there is going to be changes because I don't think fans would accept the long-winded way in which the group stages were done this year in order to eliminate one team. It was ridiculous. Chris, do we know how many kicks I can get away with before my dog explodes? Which, of course, is a throwback to the Dundee Glasgow game on Premier Sports on Sunday, where, let's be honest, I think the Glasgow clan lost the plot a little bit towards the end of that game, which led to a ton of penalties against them, mostly misconducts. But what I will say, and a lot of people have been saying that they've been finding hockey is not as entertaining as it was. They've been finding games dull. Anyone who watched that game, you cannot tell me that wasn't enjoyable. I loved watching that game. It was great. It had everything it had. It was a great game between both teams who both went for it. It had controversy. It had incidents. Brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. And yes, I know that Malcolm Cameron was really annoyed at the end of the game. But his team completely lost their discipline and they got punished for it. There was not a lot wrong. I think there was a lot of, let's say, there was a lot of unhappiness regarding some of the way that Dundee Stars players were going down for penalties. And some of them were a bit sold and elaborated, shall we say. I don't think anyone can argue with that, but they were still penalties. I think the one on Haas, when you saw it from behind, it looked like it dived. When you saw it from the front on angle, I thought fair enough, because I was watching it with my wife on Sunday, and when that happened, I just went, "Oh, that's as soft as hell. That's a dive." Then I saw it from the other angle and just went, actually, that's a fair enough call. But yeah, it was a very, a very, very interesting game, and I loved it. And I think if more games were on television that had that amount of entertainment, then I think it's only going to increase interest in the sport, because I loved it, loved that game. Um, Absolutely fantastic. Jamie Bartholomew again. He says, was Glasgow cancelling their game in Guildford tonight more about suspensions rather than illness? And should it be recorded as 5-0 win for the Flames? Depends on the illness. I think most people have suspected it could be COVID, but we don't know. We don't know. And you say about suspensions, but nothing's actually been announced from DOPS. Anything after the weekend, or certainly after the Sunday, is announced on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. and there's been nothing. So I would suspect there's actually no suspensions coming from that game. But I guess we shall see. We shall see. I would hope they would try and rearrange it to get the game going, because the thing is, if it's given as a 5-0 win for the Flames, is that fair to the teams that are around them who are not involved? And I'm thinking like teams in the playoff race here. So the likes of Manchester, Dundee, Manchester, Dundee for 2, who would be affected by that. So I wouldn't like to see a 5-0 win, to be perfectly honest. Anthony says there's a couple doing NIHL who have a ton of potential, and a couple at the Mo who I sadly can't trust to call their own mother at Christmas, let alone the top flight program. I guess Anthony's talking about officials here. Chris thinks Coach Cameron is absolute gold. Also from Chris, whatever happened to the fines that have been handed out previously by the Elite League for failure to control your bench? Yeah, that's a good point. And also, Chris, how did Creeper Chris Ellis keep a straight face? Ellipsis as well. I believe you're a commentary fan, aren't you, Ellipsis? So you rather the Flames didn't get 5 more up. Yes, I can understand that from the positions that are in the league. Okay, let's crack on. I did get a question on Twitter. I will just very quickly try and find it. There it is. It's from Ashley at Ash Garrett. And she asks, comparing other team season ticket packages, what benefits have Panthers actually given this season for theirs? I feel like there's been nothing, being my first season as one. The quiz night and pizza party have been open to anyone. There isn't anything that can actually say has been exclusive to us. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this and I missed something, but it feels like we're being shortchanged and not just on the ice. Okay, Ashley, this is probably going to sound harsh because I'm a season ticket holder too. But all that season ticket entitles you to is a seat for 25 league games at a price reduced from the normal ticket price, and that's really it. Now, yes, it is good if the clubs can offer more for season ticket holders as a sort of thank you for paying your money up front. But the harsh reality is they don't have to. Now, me as a season ticket holder, I just want the season ticket for my seat for the games at a reduced price. That's it. I appreciate that other people want more from that, and I get that. Obviously, COVID's played a part, and you mentioned, I think, the pizza party and the quiz night, which I think is tonight, is open to everyone. But why not? Is it they've not been able to do them sort of things because of COVID? Why sort of narrow it just to season ticket holders? Maybe that if you look at things like probably discounts in the club shop, discounts on merchandise that other clubs do. But in reality, um, all your season ticket really does is entitle you to a seat at a reduced price from the match night price, and that's really it. And that's the way I see it. I appreciate other people will be different, but that's my take on the whole thing. I I personally am not interested in all the sort of the bells and whistles and things like that. I just want a seat at a reduced price, and that's it. So, uh, sorry if that's not the answer you was looking for, but that's just my opinion on the whole thing. At Tom J 1994, he says, "What Brits could you realistically see joining Panthers next season?" Good question. I'm not sure. I'd love to see Matthew Myers back because I think he has been one of the few positives for the Panthers this season. I think he's had an excellent season. Ollie Betteridge as well. I think Jordan Kelsall has improved no end. Has been very, very good. And Steve Lee has unfortunately been injured. Josh Tatlow, I think he's done okay. I've seen him getting a lot of criticism, but I think he's been okay. So yeah, it's. I was actually looking earlier today, just because I saw your question and I wanted to do some comparison. And I was looking at 2017-18 season, so the season when Panthers were in the Champions Hockey League, and our Brit core then included Betteridge, Lee, Kelsall, Tetlow, Joe Hazeldine, Rob Farmer, Brett Polini, and David Clark, and Rob Lakovich. So, an almost embarrassment of riches in the Brit lineup just 5 seasons ago. Obviously, that's dwindled away because of the import rules and the roster restrictions that have been in this season. But yeah, it's like, who could you realistically get? I can't see as any of the top Brits. So your likes of Rob Dowd, for example, Ben Davis, Josh Waller. I really can't see us prizing any of those away from their clubs at the moment. I'd love to see Luke Ferrara, but I think he's very happy at Coventry, so I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the best we can hope for is the Brits that we've got to come back. But what I would like to see us do is take a positive step, a proactive step with regards junior development, and start developing some young Brits and bringing some young Brits through and giving them ice time. And I know we've had Morgan Clark-Pizzo and Jack Hopkins this season, but they haven't been given a lot of ice time. I would love to see Panthers take a chance on them, give them the ice time, give them the development so that they can become the top Brits that their potential shows that they can achieve. Andrew Williamson, what about anyone from the Lions? Big step up from NIHL 1, to be fair, to the Elite League. But I think Louis Newell's been doing well. We talked about Zach Yokoyama a couple of weeks ago, but I think he will be classed as an import. So I think that probably rules him out. But certainly, I think the Louis Newell would be a good choice, I think, of anyone at the Lions at the minute. Anthony says Clark-Pizzo will go back onto a two-way, I'd imagine, given his wonky year with injuries. Take the chance on Jack Hopkins, though. The Panthers need to be brave to turn things around. I absolutely agree. Daryl C32. Hi, Daryl. He says, don't Panthers season ticket holders get priority on player finals weekend tickets? Not this year, they didn't. And your good seats still available for that. And I don't think anybody is surprised about that. Next question comes from Richard Bradley. He says, thoughts on Kevin Carr and how you think he stacks up against recent Panthers netminders. His stats on saves and goals against average this season are very similar to the likes of Weekman and Garnett, but I wouldn't say he was as good. I like Kevin Carr, but you have to compare him to the netminders in the league at the top teams. If Panthers are going to compete, they have to be on a par with the likes of Cardiff Devils, Belfast Giants, Sheffield Steelers. And it's very interesting when you look at the netminding stats, and it sort of brings it home a little bit. So I had a look earlier. Goals against average, the top six, you've got Jackson Whistle at the top with 1.71. Tyler Beskorowany, also Belfast, 1.83. Matt Carruth at Cardiff, 2.07. Rock Stojanovic at Sheffield, 2.31. Cozen at Cardiff, 2.71. And then CJ Mott at Coventry, 2.9. That's the top six. Carr is currently with a save percentage of 90.83%, which let's happy to say the least. He's also ninth in the league on goals against average at 3.07. Save percentage, Carruth, 93.93%, which is phenomenal. Jackson Whistle, 93.73%. Beskorowany, 92.2%. Stojanovic, 92.66%. And CJ Mott at 91.51%. And Cozen at 91.22%. So when you're comparing Carr to that, then no, he's not as good. We need to be getting netminders on a par with the likes of Beskorowany, Whistle, Carruth, Stojanovic, who for me are best in the league. I think CJ Mott is an excellent netminder. I'd take him as well. But that's where we need to be, I think, if we're looking to compete. And there was a very interesting post on one of the Panthers Facebook groups earlier this week, where someone had done some research about who they would have back, who they'd sort of 50-50 about coming back, and then some other players and imports who they looked at to bring in. And I simply reply with a very simple reply. I see, look at what you've picked. Would any of the players you picked get into the rosters of Cardiff, Sheffield, or Belfast? If the answer is no, then why would we want them at Nottingham? And that may seem harsh, but if the Nottingham Panthers are going to compete with the likes of Belfast Giants, with the likes of Cardiff Devils, with the likes of the Sheffield Steelers, then we have to have a roster that is at least as good as theirs. This season, we do not have a roster that is anywhere near as good as those three teams. And that shows in the league table. So for us to compete, we have to have a roster that is on par. Are the ownership of the Nottingham Panthers prepared to put in the investment in order to get that sort of roster? I'm not so sure. In fact, I'm doubtful. So I think we have to wait and see with regards to that. But as regards Kevin Carr, I like him. I think he's a good netminder, but I think there is better available. And I think if we want to compete for the league title, then we have to have better. But I think that could be said of most of the defense and most of the forwards as well. Next question comes from James Boozer Borinetti, sorry. He's a Cardiff fan. He says, who do you think is winning the Challenge Cup tomorrow and who's the league title going to? And then my good friend Chris Lovell, I don't know if he's still on, he says, who is the Challenge Cup more important to, Belfast or Cardiff? I would argue it's bigger as they are out of league contention, but a home final for Belfast could argue that makes it bigger for the Giants. But then again, the Devils lost in their own arena. Yeah, they did. And Sheffield, of course, when it was in Sheffield, lost to the Devils in Sheffield. Interesting game tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. It should be a belter. Belfast coming off a defeat. Cardiff coming off a shutout win, but Belfast, for me, the best team in the league, without any shadow of a doubt. But I think they can be prone to a bit of complacency. Cardiff, steady, not as good as Belfast, I don't think, but still a good team, and certainly have the tools to beat the Giants on their own ice. So I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be a very close final. But I think with 7,000 fans, I think that this is a sellout or very close to a sellout. The vast majority of which are going to be home fans. I think it's hard to if I was putting a bet on it, I think it would be hard to bet against the Giants at this point. So I say Giants take it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cardiff take it either, if that makes sense. With regards to the league title, to what James was asking, this was a very big weekend just gone in a split series between Belfast and Sheffield. So therefore, I think Belfast certainly have the advantage because they've got the points in the bag. Sheffield with a game in hand, though, but they've still got to win it. And although Sheffield won on Saturday, that's their only victory in their last 5 league games. So they're not on great form. So I would think I'm going to say Belfast. What's it? Daryl's Belfast to win all 3 this season. I wouldn't be surprised. So I will say Belfast. Yeah, I think Belfast take it tomorrow. I think Belfast take the league. The playoffs can be a bit of a lottery. Excuse me. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Belfast took all 3 trophies. They are very good, and that top line is something else. Probably the best top line I've ever seen play here. They are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and you've got to give a massive amount of credit to Adam Keefe and Steve Thornton for getting a line or players of that quality in, because they are brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. Chris, Dundee for the playoffs. Yeah, they're coming into form, aren't they? They've got some good players. I said right at the very start of the season on this that I think Dundee will be the surprise package, and they proved me wrong for a lot of the season, but they're really coming good now. I mean, up to 5th, playing some good hockey, winning a lot of games. And the thing about Dundee is they've beaten Sheffield, they've beaten Cardiff, they've beaten Belfast, they've beaten all the top teams. They are capable of doing it. So yeah, why not? Why not? Nobody will want to face the Dundee Stars in the playoffs. Nobody. They could be a very big banana skin. Charlie Combs could walk into any elite league team. I tell you, he's another good player for them, Sebastian Bankson. He scored a hat trick when I was commentating at Manchester. Very, very good player. Omar Pasha has this knack of picking out, of recruiting some really good quality players. And he's done it again. Combs is one, but Bankson as well. He's a very, very good pickup. Very good. Okay, that's me out of questions for tonight. So if you've got any more, pop them on Twitter at John O'Bullard, or pop them in the chat box, and I will get to them. Also, why does Pash never age? He still looks like he could play. He's not that old, is he, Omar Pasha? I think he's still only sort of mid 30s. He probably could play. He was playing. He certainly played for Dundee when they had a bit of an injury crisis. Certainly pre-COVID, I appreciate, but no, you're right. He doesn't seem to age at all. Obviously has a very good skincare regime, a bit like yourself, Chris. Andrew Williamson, how are the sales going for the playoffs? Not great from what I can see. I went onto the Motorpoint Arena website a couple of days ago, looking at the Panthers blocks, and you could still get seats together low down in every block. So I do not think they are going too well at all. I saw that Clan was saying we sold over 200 tickets for the playoffs already, but Clan have 2 blocks. So I think they have in the region of 500 seats. So if they've not even sold half of them, and it's been 2.5 weeks now since they went on sale. So I think if that's the case, and it looks to be the case, there's going to be some panicking in Elite Towers, because obviously the playoffs is their big money spinner, and if people aren't buying tickets, then that's going to be a big worry, without any shadow of a doubt. Chris, are the Elite League top now to lower the price for the playoffs? I think it could seriously backfire. If you've gone and paid £115 for your playoff tickets, or £120 if you bought them from one of the clubs that was offering them, are you going to be happy if then they reduce the price, or they or the person sat next to you has paid a lot less than what you have? That's not going to go down well. Ellipsis says it'll be embarrassing to have the playoffs half empty. Surely a price drop and a partial refund is the best option, as it will increase the overall revenue. Yeah, I think the risk with that is though, that if you do drop price and they still don't sell, and you have to offer a refund to the people who pay full price, you could get yourself into worse trouble. It's a risk, but yeah, I think there's going to be some serious panicking going on at the Elite League. And let's face it, all the games are going to be live on Premier Sports. It's not going to look good if there's lots of empty seats. Andrew Williams, they will probably end up on Groupon. I know that has happened before. Didn't Edinburgh used to do that when they were around? And I'm Patcher is 35. He could still play. Definitely. You used to look youthful when you met me. It was all downhill from there. I've aged a lot of people while keeping my youthful good looks myself. Jamie Bartholomew could be more at National League playoffs than at the Elite League. I'm not quite sure. I can see the Elite League players getting at least half full, which is 3,500, which would be more than the capacity of the Sky Dome. But I don't think there'll be too much between them if it carries on. Glenn M says, are they hoping that Devils, Steelers and Panthers fans snap them up when they get through to the Final Four? They've got to get through to the Final Four first. No, I am vocally challenged. You know that. Right. In all this madness, let's leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, as usual, for sending in questions, for joining me. Very quickly, what is the facility fee on the playoff tickets for? I think they dress that up as admin and what have you. I think any sort of facility fee that you get on tickets, I think, is a bit of a con, if you ask me. Why not just give a price without an extra price for a facility fee? Just give a price, because essentially it's 115 quid. It's not 110 quid with a £5 facility fee. It's 115 quid. Just call it 115 quid. And that's the same for any concerts at any arena or any event. You know, I just think it's a complete con. But there you go. Right. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sending in questions. Back again next week, and hope 9 p.m. next Tuesday. Hopefully, it will also be available as an audio podcast very soon. I will try and rip the audio off this and get that out as soon as I can. But until next week, have a great week. Enjoy your hockey if you are watching anywhere over the weekend. If you're going to the Challenge Cup final tomorrow, enjoy it. Live on Premier Sports, don't forget, so you can watch it on there, as I will be doing. But until next week, thanks so much. Have a great week. Take care and bye-bye.